Icon
Mega Pacific.
Mega Pacific. Welcome to
Hello, mate.
Hunter Business Insight. I'm well, thank you. I'm well. We might just jump straight into the fact that you had a little bit of time off earlier in the year to take 3.5 months off.
Correct, yeah.
A big organisation, 25 years, 26 years in the making. How do you do that? We will have viewers that say, okay, I want to do that. How did you get to that point?
Well, it actually developed over a long period of time, but I reached a point where I was saying, well, what's my exit strategy? And I had to develop and put systems in place and middle management and create an atmosphere at work, a good work environment for the team. The culture was very important, and basically I did a lot of delegation, whereas in the early days, as a business owner, when you first start, you do everything yourself, and you control you control everything from the top. So in this process, I stumbled across a very good business coach, which I think is critical.
You can give some credit there?
Absolutely. The particular person I use is Harry Raftos from Action Coaching. And really that was an inspirational change. The main difference is that instead of working in the business, they help you work on the business. When
did you start that process?
About 10 years ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There was two specific areas that we looked at. First of all was looking at the culture, the team, and that was an inspirational difference.
Can we and we'll come back to that overall change. When you talk about culture, what do you mean by that?
About the team of people that I have having the same values, mm-hmm. Working together, respecting each other, respecting the customers, respecting what they do, and supporting each other. And it was an absolutely tremendous change in the way the business was working.
But it had to be your time to know you wanted to move, had to move out for all of that to happen. The boss needs to step.
Yes, and in fact, that's when you empower the team with making decisions and making the changes necessary to reach that point. I think, like any athlete who's got a coach, a business owner needs a coach as well, because it just focuses him on working on the business, not in the business. So that was for me an inspirational change. Mm-hmm. Later, with the business coaches, we developed programs to better educate the middle management of the company as well, and we found that very invigorating, and it's still an ongoing process.
Is it a physical set of manuals, or?
It's a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. It's education, it's one-on-ones, it's understanding what the roadblocks are, the challenges that have to be overcome, and then in the management meetings and team meetings, all these things are addressed slowly and all resolved.
Mm-hmm. You'll need to have 3.5 months off every year now, so they get
absolutely, and loving it.
Indeed. So, what's your role now? You mentioned, I think before we started this, it's you now are investing in the business, or you are an investor.
Yes, and I think this is we've reached the three phases. I guess the first phase was all about the team. The second phase was all about the management. Okay, and now the third phase is about the investment structure. And that's when we start talking about a board of some description and some more strategic and clear policies, investment strategies that can be given to the team, and then from there that develops into expansion programs, etc.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk. We've kind of done this a little bit about face. Let's talk about the business, Mega Pacific. What do you guys do?
We we import and distribute and manufacture some hydraulic components, mainly for the transport industry. So the difference with our operation is we do a lot of value adding by putting packages together. So we give a lot of technical assistance there. So somebody from even a mining company might want to design some sort of an explosive vehicle, therefore there'll be a lot of hydraulics involved, and they'll come to us for the circuit design, etc., and then we supply.
So you have engineers that
exactly, yes,
design and deliver?
Yes. So that's our strength. So we start from the transmission of the vehicle, and we take the power, and then from there we do the whole hydraulic circuits. So we work through distribution, we put the package together, and we've got people all over Australia and New Zealand that do the installations for us.
Okay. What does the next 12 to 18 months look like for the business? What are the strategies?
Well, we did our first acquisition of a small company in New Zealand, and I believe that for us our growth will come by acquiring other companies in related fields.
And New Zealand, have you been there long?
New Zealand, we worked through distribution for a long time, but we found that as anything, that you need sometimes to have your own presence. So an operation is all about the people. So we bought a company that had the expertise that we could build on from there. And it's only been about 8 or 9 months now since inception.
Is it Mega Pacific, or are they as they were?
It's part of Mega Pacific, but it's trading under its existing name. We saw no value in trying to take away the goodwill that was already built up in this area.
And that's very special in New Zealand.
Yes, absolutely, very much so.
Okay. If we talk about future acquisitions, Mega Pacific, a very specific culture, one built on respect and understanding for customers and yourselves and team members. Is there a process that you went through with the recent acquisition that has taught you about how to manage that integration?
I think the first point we realised was that you can't change overnight any cultural differences that might be. I had experience also I had an office in Singapore, a different company but related, that we discovered a lot of cultural differences, of course, throughout Southeast Asia. And this was a lesson that I've learnt because we tried to change the cultural attitude of a lot of these customers, and it was incorrect. We had to adapt to them, not they adapt to us. So we've accepted the culture that currently exists, and we're working now. In fact, we have a team building day coming up very soon in Australia, where a lot of the people from New Zealand will be across here, and that's the first step in bonding the operation in Australia with New Zealand. And from there, we then build on slowly the cultural differences. We also have sent somebody, one of my trusted people in the operation here from Australia, over there, and he's not management, he actually works in the stores.
Okay.
And it's surprising the working from the ground up, how things can improve. So overall, I think it's a work in progress, but so far, fingers crossed, so good.
Indeed. Philosophically, starting from the ground up, because that's where it grows from, isn't it? Yeah. The legacy process, you've almost created that now. I think you've got what Connor's going to leave in this place. Do you see further evolution? Do you get involved with the negotiation, or do you want to be involved with the negotiation of the mergers and acquisitions, or what's your role now?
Well, basically my role will be determining what sort of investment we're prepared and what sort of risk profile we'd like to put forward from the board to the executive management team. They will come back after analysis with 2 or 3 possible ventures that might suit that criterion, and we'll go through a process of evaluating them, doing our due diligence, and seeing and picking the one that we're more comfortable with. And that's as far as it goes. Then after that, I should leave it for the rest of the team to do.
Indeed. If we look at where you are right now, it's kind of two questions. What do you wish you knew when you started 26 years ago that you now know about running a business?
I think probably the earlier you get a business coach, the right business coach for yourself, of course, I think the better it is, because it allows you, all the work's done by you. It's not done by the business coach. All the work's done by you, but he facilitates the working on the business rather than in the business, because it's very easy for the first 5 or 6 years just to be ploughing your time in, developing the business on a day-to-day basis without having necessarily a clear plan.
That's a challenge. Was there a time where you were, because I'm spent a bit of time in this coaching and developmental space. Some clients, it takes a while to get comfortable enough to expose themselves to a coach. Did you find that?
Yes. Look, I think that some people consider, if I'm getting a coach, it means I'm not good enough. But it's not the case. It was very clear to me after working with a coach for a short period of time that he doesn't solve any of your problems. He just facilitates bringing those things, all those challenges to the surface. And then one by one, you prioritise them, and you start picking them up, and before you know it, you're travelling at the speed of light.
Excellent. The next 12 months, we talked about that evaluation. Is that where you see your role now, in the evaluation, or do you want to?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that there has to be a clear mandate from the stakeholders. Let's call it a board, for the want of a better word. There has to be a mandate to come down to a clear mandate to the management team of what has to be achieved, and what investment will be made, and what risk profile to suit. After that, it's up to the young go-getters in that management team who want to grow to bring forward the plans.
Do they have some ownership at this stage?
Ownership is something that we're discussing at this point in time. It's the next step.
Yeah, it's carefully managed.
Carefully managed.
Harry's
yes.
strength, I would think.
Yes,
so.
yes, carefully managed. It's something that I believe that if you've got to lock in your good people, and we're very lucky. We've had close to 10 people now with more than 10 years service, and probably another 3 or 4 coming up as well.
I usually arc up when owners like you say we're lucky. There's no luck included in that, Con. For me, it's recognition of an owner who actually listens and understands where their value is.
Point taken.
You're being honest. That's good. We would love you to take the opportunity to say, okay, well, if I get on a soapbox and say, okay, well, let me have this rant about doing business not only in Newcastle, because as we talked about, you have got it's not a major part of your turnover here is in Newcastle. What would you change in the business environment right now, if you could, or in business generally, to make it easier, make it better?
Well, I've got to come back to having a business coach. I think that really is a must for everybody to keep them focused and moving forward. That would be my prime point. And I think the team is invaluable. You must have a good team. You must have a team that's willing to grow the company with you. That's
Again, I've exposed myself. The big paddle company does something similar to what Harry does, and that's the other part of my life. Right. Getting clients to value you as a coach is sometimes an obstacle. Do you set expectations of Harry in terms of the value that you would like him to create in your mind, or the space he wants to create in your mind? How do you value your coach?
Well, we every facet of the coaching cycle, you know, we've got goals that we're trying to achieve. We measure it and measure those goals, and when we reach a point of comfort, we might move on to another.
But it is one at a time.
One at a time, yes. So we might have. There was a lot of one-on-ones with myself at the beginning, obviously, working out where the company was going and what the future direction was going to be, and what my role would be. Eventually, we got to the point of getting comfort around those levels there, and then we worked on as I said, the team and the management team, etc. And right now, we're still working on the management team, but we're looking at now perhaps more of the structure with regards to an executive management team with a board influence, etc. So we're looking to see if we can make sure we get our structures right there to ensure more time for me to spend overseas.
Sending the most sophisticated blog I've ever seen, I've got to say that. And quite envious because I love Greece. But anyway, does Harry's exposure go into the next level down under you? Does he work with them, or
yes,
just
absolutely,
you? All right.
absolutely. And these are things that we've discussed with Harry continuously. We don't necessarily have Harry there all the time. We might have a stint where we're going through a plateauing phase where we decide that we want to settle down the situation as it might stand, and then we might bring Harry back in as we start to see what the next evolution might be in the process.
That's cool. Con, a great session. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Yeah, that was painless, wasn't it?
Painless.
Relatively.